Hi BookTube, this is Kelly. My channel's name is Books I'm Not Reading, and welcome. So today I want to talk to you about a series of books that when I first started my BookTube channel, I knew that I had to do a video dedicated just to these books. And I've already mentioned one of them at least once on one of my previous videos. So I'm like, okay, I need to do this video. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep bringing these books up and gotta get this done. So when I was working for Barnes & Noble, I don't know how either Jason or my boss Stephanie told me about this book. And it's the Polysyllabic Spree by Nick Hornby. I do love Nick Hornby. Not all of his books, but I do really, really enjoy his work. And but actually, I might like his nonfiction even better than his fiction. That doesn't mean I don't have 2 copies of About a Boy, though. These are his columns from The Believer magazine, and this one starts in September of 2003. And one of the things I really love about Nick Hornby and these columns is that each chapter has what he bought and what he read, which if you are a serious reader, we all know we definitely have months where we buy far more books than we get through. So, and that's true for every column. Like every column, the beginning will have like the books read and books bought. And so it's fascinating. And he doesn't read just like serious stuff. I mean, definitely he does talk about Dickens. Let's see, I'm looking here just briefly, like he bought a bunch of Salinger, you know, but he's also reading genre fiction and things like that. So, and there's just a lot of humor in it about the experience of being a reader. I'm not sure if it was this book or one of the other ones I'm going to show you. And I wish I could guarantee that you were going to have this experience. I don't know, like sometimes humor just hits me at the right moment, the right spot kind of thing. And I remember laughing so hard that I was crying. It was just so funny. But anyway, so like I said, these were his columns from The Believer, and I think one of the conditions of The Believer was he couldn't do any negative reviews. So there's only one part that I remember that he is talking about a book that he really didn't like, but he does not name it. He does not tell you anything what the story is about. He does not give anything away at all. But that's it. Like one time he talks about like, yes, I read something, and I'm sure it's not listed in the Reds column or in the books I read this month or whatever, that kind of thing. So all of the reviews to a certain extent are positive. So this came out, I ate it up, I loved it. And of course, you know, when you work in a bookstore, you're always looking out for your favorite authors and when the next book is going to be out and that kind of stuff. And so, not long thereafter, came this one, Housekeeping versus the Dirt, which is probably my favorite title. It's so brilliant. You know, it makes sense, like housekeeping versus the dirt, right? In my house, the dirt wins, but Housekeeping is a reference to Marilynne Robinson's novel, Housekeeping, and the dirt is in reference to the to the Motley Crue biography. And again, like when he talks about it, it's freaking hysterical. And it's not negative at all, but it's just so funny because it's really his experience as a reader. And it's so easy to identify with it, you know, and I also love the fact that he talks about, you know, being a Brit and then touring through the US, and seeing things in airports. And, you know, like, I think at one point he makes a joke in one of these books about how, like, you know, America's favorite author is actually like Joel Osteen or something like that, because everywhere he went, like, he saw these Joel Osteen books. But anyway, so this is the second one, Housekeeping versus the Dirt. Loved it. Then came Shakespeare Wrote for Money. Again, I think they're so clever. And again, these are still all of his columns. He's still doing the same thing of writing, you know, what he's purchased, what he's read. This one starts in August of 2006. You know, and there's lots of books that I'm not familiar with or hadn't heard of before. There's some great introductions. And so anyway, and it also, this one, when it came out, the back of it says, this is the final collection of Nick Hornby's monthly column for The Believer magazine about the books he's bought and the books he's read. And so I was like, oh, it's so sad. Like, it's over. And then, much to my surprise, came this book, More Baths, Less Talking. And again, it's the same deal. It's the same thing. But there's these wonderful, wonderful essays. And truly, again, they are more about the experience of being a reader. You know, the experience of like, oh, I bought so many books. Oh my gosh. Now I really need to read them, you know, and do you read and like, do you have different books for different places where you read? All this kind of stuff. The stuff that we talk about on BookTube all the time. So I thought we were done. I thought it was all over. And then, much later, this book came out, and you can't see quite all the title there, but it's called 10 Years in the Tub, A Decade Soaking in Great Books. So again, this is, and you know, this one is considerably larger because it contains all of these. So, plus a little bit more. And that kind of actually irritated me a little bit because I felt like, hey, I've already purchased 4 books, and now you want me to buy this giant hardcover, which, let's see if I can see what the retail price was originally. Yeah, $26. So I just want to show you these in between these 2 receipts. So this little strip right here, that's the only part that's new. So it's not even, it probably would not, it's not the same size. I mean, it's not as long as the other 4 books. All of them are in here though. So, I mean, if you like big, bulky hardcovers, you know, you can go with this one. But I basically asked my local library to buy it, and then I just looked at where this one ends, and I started where that book left off, and I, you know, obviously that's not a ton of reading. It didn't take me very long to read, and I counted this in my book journal. So yeah, this is a little bit frustrating to me because I feel like, yeah, I've already purchased 4 books, and now there's another book that's all of them plus this little tiny extra strip. So again, like, I enjoyed reading the little tiny extra strip, but I'm not going to buy this. And normally I would never be the kind of person to say, well, you should have 4, like, would you want 4 books or would you want 1 book, right? Like, I would always be like, 1 versus, of course. But I do think, I mean, the covers, the color, the titles, I just love it. And I also, I mean, I kind of like that they're small. They don't feel overwhelming or anything like that. And they are the kind of thing that, you know, you could just read an essay here and an essay there, but they are fantastic. I mean, I love them. And, They make me smile, they make me laugh. I think you get a lot of great recommendations, and I think there's probably a lot of fodder for booktube videos in here. A lot of ideas and issues. I was just scanning through them this morning because it has been a while since I've read them, and looking at books that at the time I was not familiar with, but I have since read them for completely unrelated reasons. Like one of the books that he reads somewhere, one of them is The Family Fang, which I didn't know anything about at the time that I read this book. And then later it became a book that the book club I belonged to read. And so now I can read that with a totally different perspective and go, oh yeah. So it feels good to get that off my chest, to be able to share these with you. You'll love them. I can't imagine anybody not enjoying these. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.